Hey guys, what is up? This is Ron, and today we just got the announcement here at E3 2018 at the Xbox event at the conference, Halo Infinite. Now the rumors that Halo Infinity were actually pretty damn close, but this new game, it is called Infinite, and we're going to dissect the trailer, and this looks like what Halo 6 is going to be. There is so much to talk and discuss and speculate here. So let's just go ahead and dive right into the trailer and take a look at what 343 Industries and Microsoft has already pressed a lot on, which is their new engine, I think the Slipspace or Slipstream, I guess we'll find out at the end or whenever it's shown. So yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. So right off the bat, this is a game engine demonstration. So we see water droplets coming down. We hear the noise of the droplets coming down. And now this is a game engine demonstration. That doesn't mean that this is necessarily going to be in the game itself, but this is sort of them showing off their new engine, which has to be for Halo 6, because this just looks so intense. I'm going to hit play again, and we'll kind of look at it a little bit more. So look at that lighting, the volume, the light fog volume coming in here. It looks absolutely magnificent. Now, when I first saw this, I was like, it could have been anything, right? But something about those volumes, they really do like, that 343 really enjoys using those. So I started to suspect maybe this could be Halo 6, but this looks like it's in the bottom of a cave, right? There's plants, there's foliage, and you can see the light reflecting off the rocks, and you can tell that this is the next step in Halo Evolution, and it looks so good, and I'm so happy that 343 has created a new engine, and I'm glad that that's what they have done with their extra time, right? That is excellent news, because it shows that they're kind of going back to the beginning, and they're probably have scrapped a lot of stuff, and they've opened up a lot more possibilities for Halo 6, and if they made an engine that presumably they will use for Halo 7, then by golly, there's going to be, at least for Halo 6, there's going to be a lot more possibilities ready and open than was for Halo 4 and Halo 5, I think. So it just looks so beautiful. You can hear, the music for one, they've already gone into a different direction with the music, but just hearing the thunder, hearing the environment, seeing this world, and I was going to get into this a little bit later because it looks like what they're trying to do here is show that this is an open world that looks like it's on a Halo ring, right? So that in itself is a pretty cool concept, right? Halo ring, open world, Halo, right? That could be what Halo 6 is, and I think that would be very interesting. But if it's not linear, then that's fine. But if it is a linear experience, then that's fine. But what we are seeing right here looks like they have definitely put a lot of effort into making, one, the old art style. Gosh damn it, it looks really good. And just like looking at the trees, looking at this big environment, it looks like you can run around anywhere. Again, is this just a game engine demonstration? That is what it said. So maybe none of this has anything to do with the actual campaign or location or anything. We have to keep that in mind too, because that's one of the very first things. That is the first and only thing it really says here in the trailer. But that is a beautiful mountain. Now here, this is what I want to get into. Now when I saw these, I was like, okay, no, it can't be Halo, right? Because there's animals, right? And we've only seen Moa and a couple other critters and creatures run around Halo maps in the campaign, but the mere fact that they're showing these creatures, showing these interesting deer creatures, is that they plan to bring wildlife into Halo, and that makes sense because, Halo rings have all kinds of life, right? And if we do revisit the Halo rings as suggested by leakers, is that if we do go back, actually that wasn't even a leak. That was 343 Industries making an April Fool's joke that they were leaning into the joke about Halo being Battle Royale, but just take all of this in real quick, guys. Gosh, I'm sorry, it's distracting my process of thinking here. It's just so beautiful. It almost looks like a painting. But yeah, they were saying that Master Chief would return to or go on to a Halo ring, an unknown Halo ring with Blue Team, and to stop Cortana, essentially. And this might be that ring that they were joking about, quote. And it's not like it's unbelievable, even if it was on an April Fool's thing, right? But anyway, look at these deers, look at these elk. They look very majestic, very beautiful. The lighting, the blurred depth of field in the background, the smoke volumes coming in the background as well, the reflections off the water, and these deer look very alive. They look very active, and they all reacted to the sound there. Again, this could all be orchestrated, but like the depth of field is excellent. Like the visuals look so beautiful, and it's just great. Like this is what I think a Halo game really has deserved for a long time, and it's great that they made a new engine, right? But I'll quit talking. Let's move on to the next part. Now here, again, game engine demonstration. They're showing how the light is reflecting off the bark here, off the trees, and how these embers are flying up, and it looks great. Like it just looks fantastic, and we got the trees in the background. Everything looks just about right as it should. We got the light volume up there in the sky, as well as with the clouds and what looks like either clouds or smoke, but probably clouds here. And the stars too. Gosh, it just looks very beautiful. And then we got, this is very interesting here. Now, I don't quite know what that is. It looks Egyptian or maybe alien, maybe, I don't think it could be Covenant. It could be Covenant. But anyway, so yeah, there's this language inscripted onto this wall here. It looks like a very zoomed in shot, which is very interesting because I know that's what Bungie used to be very good at, was making the bumps and the scales and the textures, and going very, very far, zooming in with the sniper even, and seeing that textures still look even good with that. So again, we have the depth of field here. We have this small details on the wall, and it just shows what this engine is capable of, right? Showing that even in the smallest of spaces that there can be some intense, even three-dimensional carved in languages on the walls, that I can't tell, really, we can't tell, but looks like would be very small and unnoticeable otherwise, and probably not something that the developers put much effort into. So that looks really, really cool. I wonder what it says there. Maybe if you guys know what it says, or if it is Covenant, then maybe we could decrypt it somehow. But I would be very interested, because that's like a clue right there, right? Because we can find out more information. Now, this shot, again, it looks so magnificent. Like there's this shot that's zoomed up on the smallest of rocks and grass and the sand on the floor of the desert here, and we see the textures of the rock as well as the sky, just everything. We see smoke coming off, like dust storms happening in the background, and these structures, these ruins, and I wonder what they are, if they're UNSC, if they're Covenant, if they're something else entirely, something more ancient than any of them. Maybe the Foreigners, maybe something else, right? And that would be interesting to discover as well. But nonetheless, it looks like this is all happening on the Halo Ring, that this is all, the whole game engine demonstration is on the Halo Ring, and I wonder if there is some relevance. There has to be, right? Because after all, this is the big teaser for everything. So yeah, I mean, what is this? What's happening here? And we'll get into what's... Okay, yeah, look at those dust storms. So we have weather effects, storms happening by themselves, maybe. Entire environmental weather functions and programs in this open world, maybe. Those are all speculations, but it does look like that's what they're trying to show off here, is that there's naturally weather storms happening in different regions, perhaps in, weather storms happening with the rain, or maybe the dust effects coming into different places, into ruins and deserts, and then, with snowstorms, blizzards, and stuff happening for snowy places on the Halo Ring. So what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section below. That's the most I can take from this specific scene here. But nonetheless, it just looks magnificent. I want to hear your thoughts. So what are you guys thinking so far? Am I onto some stuff? Do you think something differently? Again, let me know down in the comments below, because I want your comments. We're going to be ripping apart this trailer. Tinfoil hats, guys, 100%. So bear with me. We are going to crack this open as wide as we can. So dust storms coming in, and then we have another scene here, which actually is starting to bring us some stuff now, right? We have what looks like an abandoned military tent here. We have a couple walkie-talkies, a couple military boxes here laying around. We have what looks like some ammo and some old ammo cartridges, and we see a bullet on the bottom left there, and just some boxes. It just looks UNSC, right? And It looks like that box on the bottom middle, halfway to the left, it says, I can't quite tell, it says KF01, I think, and then there's a triangle symbol on it. Not quite sure what that means, just probably some useless military information. But yeah, and then there's a tablet that looks like it's sitting under the radio stuff. So you can see all this for yourself, but what's interesting is that the light is bleeding through these tent models, like the leather covering of this tent that's ripped open. And it's really cool because if the wind is happening by itself, if the wind is like this programmed weather system, it's cool to see that weather and wind is reacting directly with the models, and then the light is dynamically expressing itself onto other models, which, I mean, that's a complicated system in of itself, right? But that would be really cool if that is what's happening. Then we have the light volumes bleeding through as well. So very cool. I wonder what this place is, by the way. What do you guys think? This looks like an abandoned military post here. Nothing too complicated, but we hear rumblings, and this is what I'm really interested about, is if we're on a Halo ring, that means we're going to be exposed to all kinds of alien life, right? What is this alien life? How does it tie in with the story? How does it tie in with the gameplay? Will we be having to go to these abandoned posts? And do they have any relevance to the story at all? Or is this, again, just a demonstration? Now, I want you guys to look to the right side here. We see something big walking through. Let's take a look at that. Now, look at that. So it walks by very quickly, but, and we'll just look at that one more time. And it's rumbling. The whole place is rumbling here. And I wonder if that is a part of the game engine or if this is just scripted, right? Will things actually look this good in the gameplay, right? And it's hard to believe, is that actually possible, right? Very, very limited details right now, but having all the models shake and rumble due to this creature walking past the tent here, now that's cool, right? That's cool because it shows that all the creatures and the environment, and again, this is just speculation, so I'm not trying to confirm or confuse you guys or anything, but just from what we can tell from this is that there's a weather system, there's many weather systems, and those weather systems are interacting with the props, and the props are interacting with the creatures, and those things are all working together. Could creatures maybe run away from storms and winds and certain things happening in the environment? And that just what this all does is it makes a world worth experiencing, a world that is alive, a world that is happening without you, right? And that's what's so immersive about games like Grand Theft Auto 5, or name any game that has things happening. Like, for example, Skyrim. You run into merchants or people that are already going on their way, that are already doing things in this world, right? And so that might be something that's happening here, is that there's maybe tribal wars happening, or territorial battles happening rather with the animals, that there's perhaps changes in the environment and things that are being altered. Now, all that is probably going to be in an open world game, right? Something that you don't really experience in a linear game because, there will be problems in the lore, and that's probably the main reason why some of the stuff I'm saying just probably isn't true. But let's go ahead and move forward. I like how it falls over. It fell over very nice. It didn't look scripted is what I'm saying there. And now this is just absolutely beautiful. So we see, again, the reflections, like the mud. It just looks really good. It doesn't look realistic. And I think that's good, because what we're trying to go for, what most Halo fans have been asking and begging for the past few years, is the classic art style. And this looks very close to what they were going for in Halo Wars 2, where it kind of has this artistic paint look, right? Almost like an acrylic paint look. And things don't have the super, super minute details slabbed into them, right? Now, I guess in some places it does, but it still has that soft, forgiving, kind of blurred fade to it. It's kind of hard to describe the art style, but you know it when you see it, right? And I think that this is the art style that we've been wanting, right? I think this is the art style that Halo 4 or Halo 5 did not have, that this is something that Halo Wars 2 or Halo 3 leaned towards. So let me know your thoughts on that. So we see this environment again. It looks like the same place, generally speaking. We see this forest. We see animals stepping, or these paw prints, what have been filled with puddles, and it makes me wonder: will our footsteps? And actually, it looks like there are some human footsteps along with animal footsteps. It looks like the human footsteps have gone from the tree line up there all the way closer to where the camera is. If you can see it, it's in the little steps there. It kind of looks like military footprints, which we'll see some ODA, or rather Marines later, which we'll discuss soon. But we have the light volumes flooding in. We have the plants reacting to the lights. Everything looks really good here. And the thing is about the mud, will our footsteps actually react with the mud? Will they get really intense? And that's something I really liked about Halo 3 was when you stepped into the snow, it would leave snow prints. It only makes sense, right? And so that's something I would really love to see that they put attention into again. And yeah, it's just fun stuff. And then we see this animal here, and we see like the very close up detail, and it just, this is a demonstration, right? It looks like. So it shows his air, his breath. He's exhaling into the environment. I mean, how cool is that? And no, it's not super hard to do for any developer, right? But it just, like, the detail and the style, the art style, everything looks genuine here, right? You can even see, like, on the nostril that you can see the polygons where it looks completely sharp. So a lot of it's not that these models are intensely, polygoned or whatever, however you say it. I don't know the right terms for it, but you can see that they put a lot of effort into the textures, which is always the right thing to do. You don't need to make intensely polygoned models, which is like the points on a model itself. So yeah, it looks like they've just gone crazy with the textures and making them into this really nice art style. And I don't know, what do you guys think about this new art, or this new vibe or feel with Halo? Because this is called Halo Infinite. What does that actually mean for Halo overall? But we see this, like this beautiful, beautiful scene. I haven't seen mountains that beautiful in Halo since Halo Reach. I think these mountains are almost more beautiful than Halo Reach. I mean, they look really, really beautiful. And then we have the silhouettes of the pine trees. I love those pine trees. Pine trees are amazing. They're my favorite kind of tree. We can see the stars in the sky and what looks like a storm moving in. And again, will there be storms? Will there just be weather systems that are just acting on as their own? I'm thinking of Red Dead Redemption when I say this, that there's just a whole fucking ecosystem and a whole environment that is working by itself. And that's something we haven't ever seen in Halo, right? I mean, we've seen storms, we've seen things happening in Halo Snow and whatever, but we haven't actually experienced like dynamic weather systems happening by themselves. They've always been preset in linear gameplay fashions, right? But anyway, we see this beautiful light just beam by. Now look at that, right? Again, game engine demonstration. Does this mean anything? Possibly not. But it could still mean something, right? Just because it's unlikely, just because it's a game engine demonstration. I wonder why they would need to test that anyway. They have this big blue light that is shining through, that's blasting through. Now that could be like one of the Foreigner structures blasting one of those, beams that they do or whatever. I actually don't know what or why those happen, but nonetheless, that could just be, a Foreigner blast. It could be a ship. It could be, something flying away. It could be a Guardian. It could be anything, right? I want to hear, what do you guys think that big blue beam thing flying through the sky is? Do you think it holds any relevance for Halo Infinite, or Halo 6? I think this is Halo 6. I have a feeling that they're not going to make that very clear, that we're going to have to keep, like we did back with Halo 5. Is this Halo 5? Or is, So, anyways, guys, let me know what is that? What is that? It's just blasting through the sky. But nonetheless, the point that they're trying to make here is that, look how freaking beautiful that is. Like, the light is just reflecting almost perfectly across the mountains there, right? And that's just great. That's just great. And we get a better look at this, what looks like some alien rhino And it's standing up. It's got big noses. It's got a big nose. Let's see. Yeah, it's got spikes on its back. It looks very cool. It looks like a rhino, but not quite. Now, this is a part that I've been wanting to talk about, because that was a part like, okay, all right, this is super cool. First off, look at the grass. Look at the dirt. Look at the shadows. And let's examine everything but the rhinos for right now. You know, we got this really cool safari-looking environment, desert, and the shadows are like so beautiful. Like they nailed the shadows here, right? And that's something that is pretty important, because, god damn it, I just feel like they never really did great with the shadows. Like 343's just never done great. But certainly they got some really great professionals on this now. And we got, so let's move into the rhinos here. They got, I mean, what is that? Let's just count for a second, you know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like, okay, so we have a baby rhino here, right? And then we have female rhinos. I don't know if you guys noticed that the first time around, but we got 3 males leading the charge, and then we got a female rhino, the 4th one from the right? And then we got a baby rhino following her. Now that is really cool, because it shows diversity, it shows attention, it shows, again, maybe these animals have lives of their own, maybe they grow up, maybe they're born, maybe they die, and maybe they have certain tags by themselves. So what I mean by that is that maybe there's certain functions and protocols in the scripting that gives each critter and each creature and each animal sort of like a life of its own, right? And where that specific creature is on its stage of life, or if it's died and it needs to be reborn and whatnot. So most of these look like males. They all got the horns. I just love that there's a baby and that there's a female there. That is so cool. That is so cool, right? And I wonder why they're all, you know, in a herd. Did they hear something? Did they see something? What's happening here? Are they being chased by a predator? Maybe that was a big creature that we saw earlier. And gosh, you know, so yeah, just plants reacting. Let's look at this whole thing happening. So we got so many smoke particles flying up. We got so many rhinos running, and we got like here's the cool part, is that the light is reflecting and rebounding off the dust that these rhinos are causing, right? We got more babies. I see a baby in the middle leftish or so. This looks so cinematic, by the way. Like it's crazy that this is in the game engine, right? But we got all these creatures. Like, I mean, do we even need to count them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, there's at least 20 or 30 here, right? Or that are going to at least be moving into the picture soon, or have already left. So this looks absolutely beautiful. I think there's a female rhino hiding behind that bush in the bottom middle. But nonetheless, oh, and then the female on the left middle, right there, right, just down a little bit. So, gosh, look at all these critters. They're just all running. They're just all running towards something. And they're causing all this smoke volume. And there's just so many of them, right? Let's just look at that from the beginning. All right, let's just rewatch this. So they see something, they saw the blue particle, and now they're all running. Some of them are running, some of them are just kind of more so walking. But here we got some attentive detail. Now this one, they're just showing off. We got like the light bending off the wood here. We got particles flying by. We got, I think, more rhinos running in the background, which I think those are those rhinos? It would appear so. They got the heavy heads there. A rhino may have been the thing that we saw in the tent earlier. So this just looks so freaking great. We got so many particles, so many minute details that would just, oh gosh, okay. So again, we got a picture, or we got a part of the tent here. We see maybe this is the same one, and it could very well be the same abandoned one. We got a walkie-talkie in the bottom left, and what looks like a cassette or some kind of tape on the bottom left there. A barrel and some supplies, or some barrels and boxes. None of it, I would imagine, is super relevant, but on the top right, or on the right side, really, it looks like there is a Pelican. It looks like there's this huge metal structure, which we'll be looking at in just a moment here. But if you look out past the tent, there's this big open green field and big open green mountains, and just hills, rolling hills, and this wouldn't be a demonstration if they didn't plan to use some of it for something, right? I'm not saying we'll be walking around this area in gameplay, but the idea that they can make all this suggests to me anyway that they, in some extent, have planned for there to be an open world, or at least very open linear maps. And, you know, we look at Halo 1, one of the very first missions was us driving around basically an open world. We had 3 objectives, save 3 Marine squads. And so that was sort of open world in a sense, and they might be kind of doing that, hopefully taking it a step further or two. And yeah, that would just be great. Yeah. Anyways, and we got particles flying by what looks like optical flares, like bottom right, about halfway to the Pelican, halfway between the barrel. We got a little flare moving, which I love that because it shows that, you know, I don't even think they're flares. I think they're just the particles flying by the camera. And again, we got the wind kind of shaking everything. We got just the environment interacting with the props, and I think that's really important. And then we got what looks like an abandoned, very abandoned, maybe Pelican. Now this is like the front spot. Right when I saw this, I was like, all right, this is Halo, because that just looks too much like a Pelican, and I think that's what it is, right? A Pelican. It looks like a crashed Pelican. So a Pelican has crashed on a Halo ring, it looks like. Is this a part of the story? Who knows, right? But, you know, the windows are busted. It looks like it was a crash landing. It looks like they did not intentionally land here. It looks like they just kind of, you know, took what they needed, I guess, and left the rest. And, you know, we look over here. I just noticed, we look over here on the left side of the Pelican, not the blurred door side, but we see "for her," right? And it says iron, and then the rest of the words I cannot read. I'm looking at it. Give me 1 second. It says follow iron for herself, yourself. I see FOR. Oh, forever. Iron forever. I think it says iron forever. But nonetheless, it says for her, iron forever, I think. I don't know what that's pointing to, or what that could possibly mean, but the only reason I could actually see what that says is because I'm looking at the 4K version of this trailer, right? You guys might not be able to see if you're trying to look at it too. But anyways, yeah, let's move on. I don't think there's much else to this shot here. Oh, fight for her. Okay. Yeah. Again, I can't really see what the rest of that says, but fight for her, and I think that is a picture of Earth. Right? I might be wrong. But anyway, or maybe a jetpack or backpack or something. But then we are looking at the water, and the water is interesting. So we see the cliffside, we see the depth of field blocking off the rocks. Went back a little bit too much here. And we look down and we see what looks like a mantis or some kind of foreigner creature. I bet if I put that in Photoshop and added the contrast and curves and brightness that I could get in there and see exactly what that is. But it looks like a foreigner. It has gray pieces, little mantis-like things that are looking for something, and we are looking at a structure next to some seaweed. So it's really cool to see that 343 is putting attention not only to the water, which by the way is looking better, but still you can tell, you know, they're still having a rough time with the water. You know, Halo water and Halo has never looked good past Halo 3, but looking down there, we see what looks like a destroyed foreigner thing, and looks like this Sentinel thing is looking at it, and it's really hard to tell what that is. It looks like a big square, and then it's got some other parts. Maybe it's like a part of a Sentinel. I don't know what this thing could possibly be wanting with that, if it is relevant, you know. But it has a light on it, and it's kind of walking through there. And I just wonder what could he be doing? What could he be looking for? Is that maybe a UNSC craft that they're looking for some lost something to help them with maybe defeating Cortana or getting off the planet or Ring? Whatever it is, I'm very interested. But let's look at one thing we actually haven't looked at before, which I guess isn't really relevant, but, you know, there's mountains in the background, there's a sky. It's just cool to see that they put attention into all those things, and it looks great too, right? And by the way, guys, underwater they got seaweed and plant life underwater. That's great. Now this is really cool because look at the water coming in, right? Look at that water just flowing in. I haven't seen that in a game before that I paid attention to anyway. It might be out there, but like we got water actually coming in onto the shore, and it looks like really nice, like it's flowing like the way it should. It actually curves around like the rocks. It floods in and then it catches up on the back end. So that's really cool, and it looks soapy like water does on the shore, like on the beachhead. And it flows in and it gets slower and stuff. But here's the thing. We see what looks like 4 Marines walking past, and they're holding a flare. Now, crash landing, they're holding a flare. It looks like they're trying to escape, right? It's not rocket science. But it looks like they're just 4 Marines. I don't know what they're doing. They just dropped this, maybe not even a flare, but maybe like this is... I guess that is what a flare is, right? You know, showing everyone what there is. It's not like a typical flare where they shoot in the air, but you know, they're probably hoping for, you know, rescue or something, or help, or that maybe they're looking for the Master Chief because they were with him when they came to this place. But look in the background, and we'll move closer. Is we see, I mean, just intensely created mountains here, and then you know they get closer and closer, and it just kind of drops off. We don't really see anything in the background past the blue, which that might be the end of the Halo ring, which, you know, would explain why there's no more mountains in the background, or why there isn't very much of anything in the background past the blue there. But we see, again, these rings. It looks like it's made out of rock, not like foreign or metal or anything. So yeah, that's what's right behind these Marines. They drop the orange flare here. Perhaps, you know, trying to look for somebody, probably the Master Chief, which we'll see in a second here. And these Marines look classic. Like, they don't look overdone. They do look like they're a little, you know, they got a little bit more stuff on them than like the Halo 3 Marines, for example. But they look pretty close to what I think people have wanted in Marines, you know. And they're wearing the dark greens. They're not wearing any wacky reds or oranges or greens or you know, very bright greens anyway. So yeah, no, they look pretty cool. They're, you know, are these Marines relevant to the story? Who are these people? Why have they crashed here, and why did they come here? You know, we see one limping on the other, so one person is injured, which, you know, is pretty expected. Now, I wonder what they're holding here. It looks like they're holding battle rifles, which would be expected. Let me just take a closer look. They look like modified battle rifles, or they might be, and now I'm thinking they're assault rifles, because now I don't see the gap in the middle. So I could be wrong. It's kind of hard to see from this distance. Again, I'm even looking at the 4K thing. So they probably have assault rifles, because that's just sort of like the go-to for Marines, right? So they're kind of walking. They see like all the grass is just shaking. It looks very alive. The environment looks very alive. We see the trees, the pine trees in the background shaking. We see flowers kind of floating off, like parts of the flowers just kind of floating off in this very beautiful world. We hear birds and wind, and we just see, holy shit. Now they kind of look unrendered actually, but we see a shit ton of wildlife here. A lot of those, I don't even think these are the same that we saw earlier, because, yeah, these are not the same creatures that we saw earlier, right? The same rhino creatures. These look like oxes or some types of cows. And I say that because if you look very closely, again, you guys might not be able to see it, but they look like they got very bulky, round heads, which the other ones did not. They got like, they looked heavy and sharp on the bottom. But these guys look like they look like oxes. Like the females, they look like they got big round heads. And then they got horns sticking out. I see one I'm not even going to try to point it out to you guys, but I see one that has really big curved sea-like horns on it. And that just looks cool, but we got birds flying through this whole place as well. So not only is this whole environment like looking like it's open world, but like, Jesus, there's birds, there's music. The music is so great, you know, it just sounds so fantastic. And what else? We got just this whole ecosystem, and they're all moving, you know. Gosh. And then of course we hear that little piano hit. I don't know what it is, but we hear that beautiful music we hear like back in the Halo 3. Now look at that visor right off the bat. We see a warthog without a turret in the visor of his helmet. We see a nice big blue sky with clouds in the visor, and then some grass in the visor. So, but we hear that fucking perfect piano hit, and it looks like, if they said that's the Master Chief, right? Did he switch armor? It looks like he switched armor, because that is not the helmet that I remember in Halo 4, Halo 5, right? Huge information. Now I'm finding this out with you guys. But guys, that is super, super important, because it shows that not only is the art style that we've seen so far going back to its roots, but holy shit, you know. And mind you, I'm looking at those birds. I'm just rewinding. I'm just taking a second look at that. Those birds look like they're just kind of floating. Or maybe they're not even birds. Maybe those are Forerunner Sentinels. Holy shit. Oh, man, baby. Oh, so I heard birds, right? Are those really crappy bird models that just aren't flapping? Or are they Sentinels? Because now I'm looking closer, and I think they're shining. They're shining very brightly, and I think they are actually Sentinels. Interesting. So we got Sentinels here. This is more than likely the Halo ring, which we will see later, but we still got so much. We're almost 40 minutes into it. Guys, I'm so sorry it's taken so long, but there's just so much to get into, so many exciting things. And we hear that fucking piano hit. God damn, yes, baby. And we see Master Chief's helmet again. And that does not look like the same helmet or the same armor. And if you look back at it, that is looking very much like the Halo 3 armor, but redone and polished and remastered. And so, gosh, that would be so great if Halo 6 actually brought us back to the roots of what Halo should be. Instead of going into all this crap and trying to change Halo and trying to make it into something new, make it into the same stuff that we know and we love, but like refresh it and make it more exciting and more fun. You know, there's no need to change everything. But nonetheless, that looks like classic freaking armor to me. He walks away. We know that is the Master Chief. That has to be the Master Chief. We hear about the Master Chief in the description of the official trailer, and then we hear that, you know, God, that Halo 3 upbeat da da da, you know, it's beautiful. And he looks like he is in this warthog, right? Driving past this huge, beautiful open environment. We see what looks like a couple Marines in that video, in that warthog, and they're all traveling with him. We see that they kept the 3 gas tanks in the back of the warthog. So, you know, you can tell it's 343 Industries that's done this. But they're driving past these Forerunner structures here that are shooting blue plasma things into the sky, as we know. So Forerunner environments, or Forerunner structures, and a big, beautiful, open pine tree environment. And we see a warthog driving past this. Does that mean open world? Does that mean rescuing Marine squads again? Who knows? But it's just so big. And we see the warthog hit something and kind of flies up here. And it's just cool because you can see the mud and the dirt flying up. And the fog volumes, very subtle in the background, the blue fog volumes in the background, reacting with the flares and just the overall feel of this environment. It looks great. It looks really good. It could use a little bit of polishing, but looks really good. And again, like, the mountains look great. And then, of course, that pans over to show us that pretty much, you know, everything we've seen right now so far is pretty much on this Halo ring, which would explain why. And by the way, if you look at the environment here, it looks like they've already figured out where everything is on this ring. It doesn't look like you can't tell how big this ring really is. It looks like they kind of had this whole ring. So I wonder if this whole ring Now, this is a long shot, and it's just speculation, but I wonder if this whole Halo ring is playable. I mean, wouldn't that be cool if you could go anywhere, and we see these same blue plasma things happening, it was shooting, right? It shoots up right there. We see a couple on the, yeah, so now 3 are flying up. And so those things have already been shown a lot throughout this Halo trailer. And I wonder, will those hold any relevance to the story? Because they got a lot of details. If you look closely on the 4K trailer, you see that they have a lot of details. It looks like they had a lot more detail and rendered into them. So, you know, this is just a demonstration, right? Who knows? But we see all this stuff line up. Beautiful. Halo Infinite, right? Absolutely beautiful. We see more. We see those plasma beam things flying up into the sky. And we see this Halo ring with what looks like blue, you know, the Halo Foreigner things going through it. And it's coming to some symbol, I think, maybe. I wonder if that is like the middle right there, or if that holds any relevance to where we need to go or to be. And by the way, and like I noticed that the sun starts coming up right here, and it just looks so beautiful. And it looks like real-time skylighting too. So that's something I haven't really even talked about there as well. But, you know, sun and night patterns in the campaign, that's something to certainly freshen up the gameplay, to make it something really original and something that is never really truly the same, especially with the weather systems, if that is the case. And so it just turns to dark blue. Looks very appealing to the eye. Very interesting. You know, it shows that you know, it goes into that big freaking Halo 3 orchestra powered by the Slip Space engine. The Slip Space engine is their new thing. And then we have Master Chief slipping in a chip into his freaking helmet. What the hell is that? What the hell are you doing, Master Chief? So it's kind of hard to tell. Is that the old armor or the new armor? Anyway, it looks great. He puts a blue chip into his head. Is that Cortana or something new? Right? We've been talking a lot about mendicant bias for the past few years. But I wonder what AI he would be putting into his head. I mean, that was relevant enough to put in the big teaser. What is he doing right there? Right? What is this all about? I want to hear you guys' thoughts on that. And let me know, what do you think? What do you think about this? Who is he putting into his helmet? So, guys, that's it. I mean, we made a 2-minute trailer into almost an hour of speculation, but this looks beautiful. It is exciting because it shows that 343 Industries has learned that they're changing course, that there's this big, beautiful environment that at least the engine is capable of making, and I'm really curious to see how will that actually transfer into the Halo 6 campaign and the story that we will later play, which I would say is undoubtedly going to come out next year, which, by the way, that's something we just haven't discussed yet either, is that more than likely Halo is Halo 6, Halo Infinite, if this is Halo 6, will be releasing next year. It is very likely. Is this an open world game? Is it linear? What do you guys think about this? Do you think this is something to look forward to? Are you turned off by this? Do you think those are Sentinels? Do you think those are Oxes or Rhinos? Is it even relevant? Is that the classic Master Chief helmet? Is Master Chief going back to his roots? Why is he saving Marines? Are these people important to the story? Where is Blue Team? Where are the characters? What is he doing here? And what could this possibly all mean for the story of Halo 6? Guys, that is a wrap. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts and speculation. We are going to dive back into this trailer a lot. And by the way, one last thing, who is he putting into his head? Is that Cortana or something else? Let me know your thoughts and theories down in the comment section below, guys. If you enjoyed, be sure to drop this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.